Look what happens when your best players hit at the top of your lineup. Shockingly, the Blue Jays win 9-3 against one of the worst teams in baseball.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for our first deposit match up to $100. Carter, I'm not going to lie to you. I was absolutely banged up this morning. I was in one of the worst states of sleep-deprived madness that there could ever be. We get back off the airplane this morning from Toronto. I have 47 minutes to get back to our place and back to work. I show up off of 3 hours of sleep, put in an 8-hour shift, come home, and then watch the Canucks game. And I just get home in time to watch the Canucks game. So no sleep. We're rolling this podcast. I might not even be here, honestly.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit better now than I was yesterday. I think the day without beers is definitely good for my system. My body was definitely hating me a little bit after the tournament I put it through this weekend. But I mean, overall for me, great weekend other than the baseball. Obviously, the Rogers Center, that whole experience was great. And you were actually leading the team with your amount of sleep this morning, 3 hours. I think the rest of us might have two combined. Because I mean, we didn't really have much of a say. I guess we could have just let our Sunday go to waste, but that's not Locked On Blue Jays. We were not about to do that. So we went out. I know you probably went in around 4 o'clock and you were the first one to go in. And me and Justin, as you saw on our last podcast, we were up pretty much the entire night. But luckily for us, I have done absolutely nothing since I've been back. I watched the Jays game. Obviously, I watched the Canucks game as well. A little bit unfortunate way to end our season. But in your sense, I don't know how you made it to work. I don't know how you put in that 8 hours. That was absolutely insane.
Well, my buddy was doing the news shift today, and he comes over and he's trying to ask me about the trip, how the podcast is going, some of the awesome people we met. And I'm trying to listen because I'm like, I got the shows going on. It's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers preseason started. So I got that going on, which I was producing. He's trying to talk to me in my other ear. And I'm like, I wasn't even there for either of them. I had to say, I'm like, sorry, man. I can't do two things at once right now. I can barely hold together one.
And for me, being at the Rogers Center, obviously such a great experience. But I think for the people for this podcast, it's probably better for us if we are watching the games on TV, just because it's easier to take in things. About 3 of the innings for us are accounted for us waiting in beer lines. So, I mean, that kind of is unfortunate as well. But yeah, just for location wise, just seeing who's hitting well, who's swinging at bad pitches, stuff like that. It's a lot harder to tell in person. But obviously, the Rogers Center experience is just amazing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world.
Yeah, no, it was unbelievable. If we could be at every game, that would be, oh God, I don't even know. You know what? A lot of my thoughts today are going to start out as thoughts and then turn into, that's what it's going to be. Anyway, I also, I bought a Davis Schneider baby powder blue. Carter, who'd you get, Varsho?
Oh yeah, I got Varsho.
Yeah.
You paid off today. I'm spin zoning it to me. That Varsho buy, led him to that home run today. He was fired up to get some support from the Locked On Blue Jays.
I like it. And you know what? Another guy that we got to give a shout out today, which we'll get more in depth into, but that's Danny Jansen, an absolute unbelievable day. Obviously, he went 3 for 5 RBIs, a home run. This guy was just electric today. And that's what happens when, like I said, you play your best guys at the top of your order, give them the most at bats. I know that's a crazy concept to everybody, which I think we've hammered down probably down people's throats, but this is what happens. It's not Rocket Appliances. Oh, they probably don't know the Rocket Appliances reference. Okay. I better clarify.
If they watched Trailer Park Boys, they'd understand, depending on. So if you know, congratulations to catching that reference. But just looking at the top 4 in this lineup today, they had 17 at-bats. and it looks like 9 hits. So that's a pretty good average if you ask me. That's not something we're used to, especially with the start George Springer has had at the top of this order, with Bichette struggling to start the year, and Vladdy as well, not really struggling anymore, to say the least. But yeah, like when you're getting your best players, your best 4 hitters on the team so far, the best 4 players that are having the best at bats, in my opinion, and it just shows off. It works very well. Obviously, you want your best players on the team to have the most at bats in every single game. We've been harping on that for the last at least month, it feels like.
Yeah.
But knowing John Schneider, Danny Jansen, I know Greg Crochet's in tomorrow, he's a lefty, but somehow that would actually make sense for Danny Jansen to stay in this lineup. But you go 3 for 5 with 5 RBIs, and then John Schneider might be like, this guy deserved the rest day.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Or for some reason, I feel like he should hit 7 today. Like it's just absurdity. I know we keep going back to the whole lineup thing, but I mean, how do you not talk about it, right? And I don't know, Carter. We had some discussions with people actually out on their feelings about John Schneider, and I'm gonna save those. You can guys see them on Reels or TikTok or whatever. You can follow us at Locked On Blue Jays on everything else. And everybody sort of had the same thought on John Schneider. He's just not. It's like every decision this guy's making is a little bit off. He's starting to get better. He's starting to figure it out. But I think even Buck Martinez called John Schneider out on the broadcast one night too, which there's no holds barred with Buck, right? He's just going to say whatever's in his head at that moment, which is great. It's sort of hilarious. But Carter, I guess going down this list, another guy that, just not doing well, to say the least, is Justin Turner. And maybe we need to have a bigger conversation on what the problem is. Maybe we'll do that tomorrow, but he just doesn't look good right now, like at all.
Yeah, he's not a guy that swings at the first pitch, so that might be a spin zone that I can create. Maybe he's just taking a ton of first pitch strikes, getting behind in counts. But with Justin Turner, I mean, with such an electric start to the season, it kind of sucks how it's been going recently. I'm just trying to pull up his stats right now, but I know this for a fact. He's 0 for 29 in his last 29 at bats. So yeah, in his last 7 games, he has a whopping batting average of 0. Congratulations, Justin Turner. Again, I said this guy's a hot and cold player. He always has kind of been throughout his career. The consistency is more so at the end of the season when you look at his overall numbers. But an 0 for 29 is it's tough to spin zone that in any way. That's just simply not good. So tough for Justin Turner right now. But hey, you're getting production from the top of your lineup. Danny Jansen can produce for 4 players on this team, it seems like. David Schneider, obviously, I love him at the top of the lineup. You're obviously a David Schneider fan with that jersey by of yours too. So with Justin Turner, yeah, it's a tough going right now, but I'm going to try to focus on the positives because this offense was actually firing on all cylinders today, other than Justin Turner and George Springer.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. This White Sox team sucks, dude. It's terrible. And great that we scored runs. These are teams you have to beat because these wins will matter down like later on. So you have to win these games. But I mean, I don't know how much realistically we can take away from one game against the White Sox.
Well, Eric Fetty, I think he had a sub-3 ERA going into this game. And this White Sox offense is pretty anemic, to say the least. I mean, Paul DeJong was just the Jays killer today for some reason. He's been the best hitter, I think, on the White Sox so far this season. So I think that should probably say enough about that. But we talked about a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point, I'm still kind of recovering from this trip. Not exactly sure when it would have been, but we lost a series to the Washington Nationals. You got to beat the bad teams. It doesn't matter how you get it done. I'm not complaining ever about 9 runs. And with the pitching, I think everything kind of got brought together again today. But yeah, are we saying the Jays are all the way back after being probably in my opinion, the second worst team in the league? There's only one more team worse. I'll let the people try to figure out who that is. But yeah, you can't take too much away from it. You got to take the positives. The Jays won 2-game win streak. Maybe it's the start of something. But I mean, we've been fooled by this team more than once, and I'm sure we'll be fooled by this team again.
Yeah, and that's the sort of the issue, right? Like I've seen online people getting super excited about this win, and it is great. And we get excited about the wins too, and you have to. But I think we also have to be cautious with our enjoyment of this because I think it could come crashing down when we face a good team. And to be fair, we don't face a good team for a while. So we got to stack up as many wins as they can get right now. I don't know, though. I don't know at the end of the day like I said, I think the Blue Jays need a series sweep right now is everything, right? And I think this is the time where they have to take advantage of a just terrible team. Um, and then you go into Detroit and you have to win these series. There's 3 back-to-back, 4 series back-to-back that you have to win. You have to win each and every one of them.
Yeah, breaking it down, like you look at this White Sox team, not great to say the least. And you got a 4-game against the Tigers, and another 3-game against the White Sox, and then you got a 3-game against the Pittsburgh Pirates. These are all teams that aren't great. Detroit's kind of been a little bit of an up and down team this year. That's probably the best team out of the next 4 series we have. But I'm thinking we got to go. We have a 13-game stretch here, not very good teams. Got to go 9-4 at minimum, I want to say, or 10-3 would be amazing as well. That gets you right back around that 500 game mark. So with that, I mean, it's in the Blue Jays' hands. They always say they got to turn it around, and why not start against probably one of the easiest stretches you're going to have all season. But saying that, enough kind of just talking crap about the White Sox here. We'll get into some more positives about the Blue Jays. Like I said, 9 for 12 in the first 17, with 17 at-bats in the first 4 guys in the lineup today. Other than that, you got Kevin Kiermaier actually had a very good game, 1 for 3, but he had a single up the middle that he just turned into a double. He's so good at making these little base running decisions. Notice that I think it's Tommy Pham in center field. I could be wrong on that, but whoever their center fielder is, tried to get to the ball, kind of was nonchalant towards it, wasn't really trying too hard to get there too quickly. Kevin Kiermaier sees that and takes advantage, steals a base on that. He makes the final out of the game with an unbelievable sliding catch. I think in the 6th inning, a jumping catch just at the wall. I mean, this guy is so good defensively. So if you get anything from him offensively, I'm more than over the moon about Kevin Kiermaier.
Yeah, well, and you know what? The plays in the outfield today, I mean, it just shows you why this guy's one of the best. At the end of the game, I think he was the only one in the ballpark that knew that he for sure caught that baseball. He had to call everybody else in. It was great. That's top Kevin Kiermaier moment. It's great. But yeah, honestly, just as an overall, I mean, it's a great game. You love to see all these stat lines besides Justin Turner, I guess. And IKF didn't have a great day either. But everybody else, I mean, you got to be pretty happy with it. Just a good outing from this squad. The one guy that had the standout day today, Danny Jansen, we got to talk about him. We're going to take a quick break, but then we got to go over this guy's contract. What are we going to do with him next year? Today's episode brought to you by LinkedIn Sales Navigator. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is a sales intelligence platform that helps professionals effectively prospect and engage high-value customers, drive higher revenue, and increase sales performance. Sales Navigator helps you target the right buyers, surface key signals such as job changes or which accounts you should prioritize, and shows you hidden allies so you can find those buyers that are most likely to convert. Fueled by LinkedIn's 1 billion member platform, Sales Navigator gives you the most up-to-date first-party data, enabling you to unlock conversations with the people that matter. Right now, you can try LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get a 60-day free trial at linkedin.com/lockedon. That's linkedin.com/lockedon for a 60-day free trial. Let LinkedIn Sales Navigator help you sell like a superstar today. Just go to linkedin.com/lockedon and get started. There's a lot of brain fog going on with me, Carter. I can feel it. I'm barely piecing together sentences, but you know what? I think when you get like 7 hours of sleep through an entire weekend, it's going to catch up with you eventually. And tonight, I might not even be a human being tomorrow. I might just be a slug.
Yeah, you got to sleep in a little bit at least. So like it'll be nice for you to catch up on some of that. For me, I feel like I'm more mentally clear today. I feel like my thoughts are more thought out and actually like well articulated, but I have no excitement at all. I'm pretty dead as well, especially after that tough Canucks loss. I mean, it's tough to for me to be positive right now. Tough game 7L. But before we head into Janno, I just wanted to throw over to a couple other players real quick. I know we sort of talked about this guy, but Bichette 4 for 4 with 3 doubles. It's nice to see Bichette coming back, man. He's so electric to watch when he's absolutely raking. When we were there for the Rays series, he goes 0 for 12. That kind of sucked, but it's obviously very encouraging. Right after, again, it is the White Sox, so you can make whatever spin zone you want. But I'm taking 4 for 4 with 3 doubles. That's insane.
No, yeah, you got to take it. And you know what? We were starting to see the resurgence of Bo before the series that we were there for against the Rays. So I think there's a little bit more of a positive spin that we can do on him. It's some of the other guys like Justin Turner that I don't think you can put a positive spin on right now. But of course, Carter, the other guy we have to talk about, is Jose Barrios. Another pretty solid outing from him, I would think. 6 innings pitched, 8 hits allowed, 3 runs, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks, gave up the home run as well. But this guy just rocks it all the time. He is just unbelievable.
Oh, he looked great again today. His location was on. The slurve was just slurving, doing its regular thing. Unbelievable pitch. He's again not throwing the fastball as much, but that obviously helped him. Again, we could go into how Jose Barrios has made a huge turnaround. You could say the same thing about Yusei Kikuchi. So a little quick shout out to Pete Walker. That guy is he's a magician. He finds ways to just get things done, and that's what I love about him. Yeah, Barrios. Like I have no problem when Barrios goes out there. You know what you're gonna get out of him. You're going to get a quality start pretty much every single time. He's going to keep you in the game. So Jose Barrios, an absolute dog. I don't think we need to tell the people that. They've been seeing it for a very long time. And we got Jose Barrios locked up for years to come. So that was one of the only guys that we don't necessarily have to worry about re-signing, because in a couple years, there's going to be a ton of guys up for free agency. But that's at least one thing is we're not going to have to worry about Jose Barrios. But the man of the hour, this guy we got to get into. Obviously, we have been pumping his tires for a bit, but is more than well deserving. Danny Jansen. This is one of the 2 players for me, the other one being Kikuchi, that we'll have to talk about at some point, and we will continue to talk about. But probably one of the biggest free agents at the deadline right now. So, again, there's a lot of talk right now about buying, selling. I'm really hoping that the Blue Jays are in a situation where we don't even have to think about trading Danny Jansen. But saying that, he is the 16th highest paid catcher in the MLB right now, making $5.2 million a year. With these offensive stats, I feel like he's going to be getting the bag in the offseason here, or whether we have to trade him. I really hope we don't, but we would get a bag from there as well. But Braden, one problem that I have with Danny Jansen is it seems like he gets injured every single year, and it's something different every single time. So maybe it's unlucky sometimes, but you got to stay on the field to be productive for a baseball team.
Yeah, sometimes you got to ask yourself, is this guy just made of glass? Because it sometimes seems like it. And it's just, and half the time it's not even like legitimate injuries, like, something crazy. It's like he takes a ball off the hand because he's just dumb and puts it in a dumb spot, right? Where stuff like that happens with this guy all the time. And a little bit of it is exactly what you're saying is, does he play enough for us to pay him as much as he wants? Probably not. I'm going to give you how many games he's played in the last few years, and it's going to tell a story here. 2023 played 86 games, 2022 72, 2021 70, 2020 43. He did play 107 games in 2019, but then in 2018 31. This guy doesn't play half the season. So is it, I think the question is it worth paying this guy as much as he's going to realistically probably deserve? But do we just have to go in the direction of stability over production? I don't know. That's sort of the question with Kirk and Janno, right?
Yeah, that was just going to be my argument. Is with catchers, you're not going to have a catcher playing 162 games. Their knees are literally going to fall off. It's an impossible thing to do. And I'm gonna negative spin zone this one. I don't think I can watch Alejandro Kirk be a full-time catcher at this point. I know he had a really cool double that was actually online with us in that 3rd game, but
right?
Yeah, and that was the ball that we were sort of on TV a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you saw a clip of us out there.
Yeah, I did, but it wasn't very clear. So I mean, I would have put that out already, unfortunately. So yeah, we didn't get enough press. I mean, the cameras weren't looking out for the Locked On Blue Jays. A little bit ridiculous from the Blue Jays there, missed opportunity. But they did have announcer Braden on the screen, which eventually I'm going to have to send out.
But yeah, that's right. So dumb. That's so dumb.
Going back into the Danny Jansen and Alejandro Kirk stuff, just with Danny Jansen, he's very good. I wouldn't say he's average defensively, but he does certain defensive things well. He blocks balls at an alarming rate. His framing, he could probably work on a little bit, but I don't really care about defense on this team anymore. We have everyone that could play so many positions. I'm defense can go out the window at this point. I'm focused on this guy's offense. And when you're looking at Danny Jansen's offense this year, again, it is a small sample size, but I compared him to Adley Rutschman, Will Smith, and JT Realmuto, some of the top catchers in the league this year. So with the averages, Danny Jansen is ahead of all 3 of them. He has 333. Adley Rutschman is a 309. Will Smith is a 307. And JT Realmuto is a 275. For home runs, he is behind Adley Rutschman. But I mean, Adley Rutschman had 3 home runs in 2 games against the Jays. So that didn't really help his case out too much for this one. Yeah, 9 home runs for Rutschman, 5 for Danny Jansen, 5 home runs for Realmuto, and then 4 home runs for Will Smith. So their OPS is Danny Jansen is 1,078. The next closest to him is Adley Rutschman at 844. And then you got Will Smith at 843. And then you have JT Realmuto at 746. And then weighted runs created plus is the last one I'm going to do here. I'm going to start from the bottom up. JT Realmuto. I'm going to start with this actually. League average for this is 100. So JT Realmuto 111. Will Smith 133. Adley Rutschman 141. Danny Jansen 182. So, I mean, this guy is, again, smaller sample size, but he's really blowing these guys out of the water in a lot of these stats. And like I always say on this podcast, Danny Jansen, I'd shout out Dalton Varsho again, caught his jersey this weekend, pulls side home runs for this team. When the best way to hit home runs is by pulling the ball. So for Danny Jansen, it would be the left field. You got to pull the ball in the air. And Danny Jansen does that so well. And that is the why I probably do want to see Danny Jansen on this team. You got a catcher that has such a high upside offensively, and with catching tandems, it's kind of the way you have to go at this point. With especially with like Alejandro Kirk and Danny Jansen not being the most healthy guy of all time, I don't think you want to kind of throw Kirk into the fire. He has been very durable so far, but if he's having to start like as the number one catcher very consistently, maybe Alejandro Kirk starts having injury problems as well. So right now, it's going very well for Danny Jansen and the Toronto Blue Jays. Obviously, move him up to 2. I want to see this guy in a Blue Jays uniform. I don't want to see him go into free agency. Somehow go to the Yankees or something and absolutely rank there. I want him to be a Blue Jay this season and farther on.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the fact as well, if you can get Janno producing like this for the next how many ever years, that's fantastic. Even if he only does play the games he does, that's why you have backup catchers, right? It doesn't have to be a tandem. It can just be a guy that slips in here and there. And, if he gets hurt, well, that sucks. But you sort of got to roll the dice a little bit.
Well, and another thing is what are the other options? There's not a lot of good catchers in the MLB. And when you find a good catcher, you probably want to hold on to him because it's going to be tough to find replacements. Like if Danny Jansen goes down now, you got Alejandro Kirk, and then you probably have Brian Serven, who looked good in spring training. But as we know, spring training stats do not mean a single thing for the regular season. And like I said, I'm in an okay spot with Alejandro Kirk right now. I don't know if I could say the same thing if he's going to have to play every single day. And Danny Jansen, just based off the stats, you could maybe make the argument with Davis Schneider. I don't think so anymore off the sample size. Maybe you can make the argument with Vladdy. But for me, Danny Jansen's been the best hitter on the team by far this season. So for a guy and for a team that struggles to find offense so much, Danny Jansen not necessarily struggling to find offense, has been pretty consistent throughout his career, especially as a power hitter. I don't see why you would want to move on from him, especially when your window is about to close anyway. So saying that, this guy's 29. I don't know if you lock him up for 7 years necessarily.
It's probably like a 3-4 years.
I was going to say even like a 2, maybe 3-year deal. Probably not something that's too crazy. And again, if you can, once things are going to go bad, and it's going to go all bad at once, I feel like, for the Toronto Blue Jays. So if you can take Danny on probably a 3-year deal, I do like that a little bit better. You probably end up trading him in that 3rd year, and you're going to get a huge haul for pieces to start this rebuild that I don't want to talk about too much yet, but eventually it will come. And hopefully right now, I mean, it's looking like it's a huge debate if we want to rebuild right now. I obviously don't want to. Hopefully the Toronto Blue Jays fans don't want that as well. And we got to keep hopeful. I know it sucks and everyone hears this all the time that the offense will come. But as Blue Jays fans, like we always say as well, why watch the team if you're not going to be hopeful?
Exactly. You got to still pray for them to win. I couldn't imagine myself sitting watching a baseball game and just either expecting a loss or praying for what are you doing then? Go watch a different team. You gotta have a little bit of hope for your team. Otherwise, what are we doing here? Carter, we got we're gonna just preview tomorrow's game. It is sort of interesting. I want to see how the Blue Jays can continue on in this series. And the White Sox are terrible. And this is just it's great to watch the Blue Jays beat up on a team. But will they be able to continue that through the next 2 and then into the second series we have against them? We'll talk about that next, but I do want to throw it back to you for the Locked On 24-hour streaming service.
Yeah, they're on the Locked On Sports Today channel or the Amazon Fire TV channels app. expert analysis. I know there's NHL stuff going on. I'm sorry, I'm going to be tapped out of the NHL stuff. I think for my mental right now, I gotta take a little bit of a break from the Canucks, especially with how the Blue Jays have played the season. But if you guys still have your favorite team in, or if you're just a huge NHL fan as well, there's also MLB, college sports, you name it. Perfect opportunity to check out expert analysis. So I think we're going to preview a little bit of the rest of the Chicago White Sox series, because I don't know how well we did that on Sunday, to be honest. And then maybe we'll get a little bit into our Sunday night as well. So we'll get into all that coming up. Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Prize Picks is very simple to play. I can make my picks and spit my entry in as little as 60 seconds. So with the Blue Jays, we're playing the White Sox. I know Braden has been really hating on the White Sox, which I don't know what they did to him necessarily, but
White Sox are terrible.
But going kind of with him, you got to hammer the offensive mores. I mean, we got Garrett Crochet tomorrow. I don't think he's necessarily that bad. It's more of a strikeout dude, but I mean, this offense is on fire. So I'm going to hammer more than Vladdy and Bo on 1.5 bases. And then I picked up my boy, I guess your boy, technically, Davis Schneider. I'll give it to you. But I got him on my fantasy team, so I might as well ride with him. I got him more than 6.5 points. So if you know which players are going to perform on specific nights, this is a no-brainer. Download Prize Picks and start making your picks today. You can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100.
Okay, so before we get into how terrible the White Sox are again, I got to talk about, we got to go over a little bit of Sunday, because we went over the rest of our weekend, and honest to God, a little piece of me was like, are we done? Are we done? Is Sunday our chill day and I can get up and have a good sleep and go to work? No, of course not. Of course not. That's not how we roll. So we bought a bunch of beers at the beginning of the trip, okay? And we're idiots. Like, and complete degenerates, and that's the problem, right? Like, basic Manitoba living right here. So we buy a bunch of beers, and we go to the LC. One of my biggest gripes here is no 2.4s, no 30s, no 15s. You got to buy 6s of their, like, what is it? Like one in
it's the tall
beers?
cans, the king cans. Yeah. So I guess technically I think it's a beer and a half technically, and there's 6 of them. So 9. A beer and a third. I mean, I'm not doing that math at this point. I guess
that's why we have Jack.
8.
It's
actually 8 beers. There you go. That's correct math. Credit to me with minimal sleep. But yeah, that was interesting to say the least. And then we definitely bought probably a little bit too many. But I mean, I don't think you can ever have too many beers. But I mean, after how I felt waking up on Monday morning, maybe I could say that. But yeah, it was interesting. Maybe it's just because, like we said, there's really nothing to do in Manitoba. In Toronto, there was a lot more we could have did with obviously not enough time. But we ought to bring a little bit of the Manitoba culture to Toronto, and we did it in an interesting way.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, there's a drinking game called Beer Dodge. We found this game out probably 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
It's been a while now. We've had our fair share of games at this point.
So what it pretty much is you put 2 cans on the side, you take a beer pong ball and you throw it from one side to the other. If you hit the other person's can, then you just start chugging. You just chug as quickly as you can, get the beer in you, and the other person's got to like run for the ball and say stop or something. And it's an electric game. Like, you can get like tables of like 6 people on each side. It's unbelievable. But again, like I said, we're absolute degenerates here. And so they're the tall boys. And usually it's like everybody has 1 beer because nobody wants to be slamming 4 beers in 3 minutes. So, but we were like, you know what? We got to finish these beers. We don't want to leave anything. So we're each going to use 2. We had 2 of the big boys set up on the end, or I guess 4 because you're playing 2s. That might have been the quickest I've ever gotten beers into me. Actually, Jarvis, my brother, destroyed the beers.
That was actually insane. I was lucky that I had that guy on my team. We ended up skunking you guys, which is just typical. I guess the young guns.
I had 1.
Oh, oh my God, you got 1 beer down. I mean, I'm saying that you guys weren't like, he finished first, I finished second. We were on the same team. So, I mean, we win, you lose. tough for you.
All right. All right.
But we got to go into one more thing, and that's Paris, Texas. I think
Paris, Texas.
I'm all in on Paris, Texas, but the only thing I'm not all in it on is like it's $17 Modelo's. Like I that was my first time trying Modelo's, and they did hit, but I mean $17 for a drink is just it's tough to fathom for me there.
It was a good thing we had beers beforehand. There's no shot that I'm paying that much. Well, that's not true. I would have paid $1 million for that beer. But no, it was horrible. And okay, I don't know if this is a Toronto thing or if we're just a little bit blessed here in Manitoba, is that they added the tip price right onto the beer charge.
Yeah, you had no option. It was just an automatic, I think 18% tip. And especially when the beers are already like $14 and then the tip ended up being like around 17. But it's just insane scenes from Paris, Texas. But I kind of fell in love with Paris, Texas. We saw some Australian models, but unfortunately for me, they're kind of across the world. I'm not going to be in Toronto often, so I mean, I did get her number. We'll see what happens. But
and the boys that were hyping us up too, actually, that was sort of awesome.
yeah, that was you were talking to a lot of dudes there. I'll let you do your own thing, but yeah, it was something to say.
No, not like that. Come on, don't dog me like that. No, actually, it was crazy. The amount of like just I don't know people at Paris, Texas. I think were the best where you could like just chat with whoever. I think I made the rounds, talk to like half that bar.
Oh yeah, you were definitely networking to say the least. Maybe not necessarily
Yeah.
for the business, but for some
Not
other
so much.
reasons. But
Not so
I think we'll just get into the White Sox rest of this series here because I think there's been enough about our antics over the weekend. But if you want to hear more, we'll definitely have a lot of stories from this weekend. I mean,
Yeah.
Braden also technically fell in love. I don't know if he maybe did, maybe he didn't, but he spent a lot of money on a carriage ride to say the least. So we're gonna get.
Hey, hold on! You can't leave it like that. You can't leave it like that. That's crazy. No, the Rogers Center. It just
There's something
I
in the
really
Toronto
want.
air, man. There's something there.
How badly did I want the spin zone of falling in love at Rogers?
Yeah, you were looking for it to say the least. I mean, I had a great time though, great experience. Took a hit in the bank account, obviously, but I think that was something I kind of knew was going to happen anyway. But yeah, I'll give it. Do you got anything else to add? Because I'm thinking the people are looking for us to get into this White Sox.
Probably.
Series.
If you guys want to hear more, maybe we'll do like a story, an episode, or something because we have about 1 million of them.
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Actually, maybe something like right at the end, third segment sort of thing. But saying that, we have Garrett Crochet tomorrow against our guy Yusei Kikuchi, lefty. Actually, an interesting matchup here. Garrett Crochet has a 4.18 ERA, 70 strikeouts. Yusei Kikuchi 2.6 ERA, 55 strikeouts. And then we got Wednesday's episode. We're gonna be doing an episode, but Wednesday's matchup
gonna be an episode, yeah.
is Chris Bassett versus Mike Clevenger. 5.56 ERA for Clevenger, an ERA of 5.03 for Bassett. I want a sweep here. I want it bad. We need it. I think this is how you got to start. You got to continue the momentum. They'll be on a 4-game winning streak. If they can continue just to sweep the White Sox, then I'm going to say 3-1 for the Tigers. Probably. Maybe I'll feel a little bit different depending on how the baseball goes. But I'm going to leave it at that. We'll get into all those predictions all coming up. But I got a sweep here.
Yeah, I had a 2-1. That's what I had on yesterday.
We already did this. Yeah, I'm switching. I'm switching to sweep.
Yeah,
I'm all in.
Whatever. You took the first game as a win anyway. If you want to take the sweep, I'll give it. I'm not gonna hold you to the flames.
I don't have any of our standings made up because I mean I'm still kind of recovering here. So I think after the White Sox series, I'll kind of redial in. After I can actually get some sleep for once, I'll be a little bit mentally more clear and a little bit more excited probably to watch and talk about the Toronto Blue Jays. Not saying that I'm not, but just after the amount of sleep we've had, the amount I've put my body through, I would have liked to take a little bit longer of a nap. But I mean, hey, we're grinding for the people here. We had a lot of great experiences. I wouldn't trade this for the world.
No, Toronto was an absolute blast. Unbelievable. And it's just the baseball. I mean, we spent, I think, every waking minute just talking about baseball. We were playing Davis Schneider's walk-up song the entire weekend. It was so electric. Unbelievable. Yeah, it was really fun. I know maybe you guys don't love hearing about this. I'm not sure. Let us know if you want to hear more. We're scratching the surface of stories here too. So if you guys want to hear more, we got more, but maybe we'll throw one in at the end or something until we're out of them. But yeah, we appreciate you guys watching. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter, Braden5 Wasco, Carter First 2. Hopefully we'll be in a little bit better of headspace for tomorrow's episode. We're just gassed. We are just gassed. And usually we like to bring the energy, like usually I'm high energy, I just don't shut up. But today I'm just yapping. So we appreciate you guys watching. Of course, tune in tomorrow. Let us know what you guys think on Danny Jansen as well and what that contract should look like. And Carter, before we get out of here, I got to throw it to the Locked On streaming service again.
Yeah, last one quickly here. Locked On Streaming or Locked On Sports Today or the Amazon Fire TV channels app. Pretty much any sport you can think of, expert analysis. Why not? No brainer. Might as well check it out if you have the time. Always want to say thank you guys for watching. The support has been ridiculous, whether it was Toronto, whether it's on the podcast, the episodes, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. We're again I know I kind of sold a little bit here over this weekend on the TikToks, but I mean I was just banged up all weekend. I'm surprised I even got long out. But saying that, we did get some fan interviews, so we'll have that coming up probably at some point this week. We'll probably just end up spreading them out over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, Brayden, you got anything else to add?
No, it was cool. It's cool. We went out there. We got these like little mics and stuff that like you can plug in your phones like Bluetooth. It was so cool. And some of the people were just hilarious. There's one guy that you guys are gonna love because Carter and him sort of bonded over something, but I don't want to spoil it. But yeah, thanks for watching. Tune into those TikToks and the Instagrams. I should be on here on YouTube Shorts as well. But for those of you listening not on YouTube, check out YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, all under @Locked On Blue Jays. Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow.